This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The human postponer. They were the master of one phrase. I'll circle back on that. But 3 months later, you are the one doing all their work and wondering how big that circle is. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can take the hiring load off your plate by automating the hiring busy work from the initial job post to scheduling interviews. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here. Now, there are certain very traumatic things that can happen in life, but this session was created for a client that had something very distressing. And a few years ago, they were the victim of a home invasion where masked raiders went into their property and stole a lot of very valuable items, and they were left shaken up by that. And then what happened is their nervous system is trying to protect themselves from something like that ever happening again. And it can create something called hypervigilance. They're on high alert. They're ready for danger whenever anything might happen. But the problem with that is being in that state is that actually your brain can find false positives. And just by being in a situation that you might be stuck in traffic, for example, and the brain says, right, you can't get out. And then that can lead to anxiety or a panic attack, or it might be other situations. This client, for example, had the experience of being on a plane, and at part of that journey, they saw how long it would take before they could land, and they had this feeling of, I can't get off. And that created a panic attack. So all of these things are very understandable if you understand that the brain is wired for survival and not happiness. And anxiety is a survival technique. It doesn't become useful, though, if you get too many false positives. If you start feeling panicky and anxious in situations where the panic and the anxiety isn't actually a benefit or advantageous. So this session has a lot of disassociation, a lot of what's called stage disassociation. It involves the rewind technique. It harnesses a resource state and starts to disassociate from the anxiety or the unresourceful states and build a bridge towards more resourceful states. Normally, you see me in my studio doing the session and I'm looking at the client on the big screens in front of me. This one is different in the sense that I actually went to the client's home to do this particular session because the anxiety was so intense for them. So you're going to hear my voice because I recorded it on a portable microphone. You aren't going to see any video on this one. So I'm going to put some kind of visual effect on the background. But the reason why I'm sharing this is that this is an issue that impacts a lot of lives. And part of the reason why I'm a therapist is that I used to have a lot of panic attacks when I was 19 years old. I became a recluse. And I could relate to this client that had shrunk their world, because if you feel high levels of anxiety, you tend to evaluate what caused the anxiety or what you think caused the anxiety, and then avoidance becomes a strategy and your world gets smaller and smaller. And that's why at 19 years old, I became a recluse. I didn't even leave my tiny apartment. And that's not a way to live. So the reason why I'm sharing this audio here is because if it helps one person to connect with the idea that they can disassociate from the anxiety and start to associate into more resourceful states, then either it might create an instant change, or it might at least inspire that individual, could be you, to make a change or to find the right kind of help. And if you think I could be the right kind of help for you, I would encourage you to click the links in the description of this episode or check out my website, adamcox.co.uk. Now, for now, you might get some value from this, even though it was created for an individual with very specific circumstances. So I would encourage you to find a quiet, comfortable place, the kind of environment where you're not going to be distracted or disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in that feeling of resourceful relaxation, that's it. And as you exhale, treat the outward breath as if it's a release valve, just enabling you to release any tension in the outward breath. Breathing in relaxation and exhaling tension. That's it, and just find that rhythm. Deep there in the belly, that's it, the diaphragm. Breathing in a feeling of pure resourcefulness and exhaling any feelings of stress or anxiety. That's it. And I want you to think of a moment when you were full of resources. Maybe the resource of relaxation, confidence, focus. That's it. And just imagine as you observe that version of you, see their posture, see their facial expressions, and just get a sense of what it would be like to slowly and incrementally move to that place of resourcefulness. Allow your intuition to suggest a color that represents pure resourcefulness, and then imagine breathing in that bright color of resourcefulness. But as you exhale, just imagine a grey or dark colour leaving your body in your outward breath. That's it. As you consider this a form of transfusion, breathing in resourcefulness and exhaling any unresourceful sensations, whether that's any stress, any worries, any anxieties. That's it, just allow it to leave your body. And the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel. And the more relaxed you feel, the deeper you breathe. And as your body relaxes, your imagination can awaken. And I wonder if you could imagine an old lounge in an old home. And just keep your physical body where it is, but allow your imagination to float back into that home. Maybe there was a particular sofa, a chair, a layout. And all I want you to do is imagine being back in that room. breathing the way you used to breathe back then. Not forcing a breath, but just breathing the way you would breathe if you felt calm and relaxed. That's it. And maybe there was a screen, a TV screen in that room. And if there was, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And all I want you to do is imagine that you double the size of that screen. Whatever size it was, double it. And just imagine comfortably and calmly staring into that screen. And the first thing we're going to do is to imagine seeing a memory of you when you were at your most resourceful. And maybe you were in a race, or maybe it was something else, but I want you to see yourself on that screen in a place where you know there was risks, perhaps even danger, and definitely challenges and demands. But that version of you had the resources to feel that you could exceed those demands. And if you could see yourself on screen, confident and capable, that's it, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine what it would feel like to float into the screen and just take that version of you for a test drive. Imagine what it would feel to be in that challenging situation and yet make the evaluation, I've got this, I can handle this. There is an evaluation that your resources exceeds whatever demands you're facing. And I want you to not just intellectually realize, but feel that self-fulfilling prophecy that when you make the evaluation that you are capable, that the situation is manageable. Notice how calm you can feel in that very situation. And I want you to notice where in your body that resourceful capability feeling is. For some people it's the chest, the gut, or the head. Just point to that place. That's it. And I want you to imagine a three-dimensional shape in that location, because this is your resourceful feeling. And maybe it's a cube or a pyramid or something else. Just imagine it there in that location, the location where you feel that capability. Give it a color and then turn up the brightness of that color until it glows. Notice if the shape is spinning or rotating, and if it is, just increase the speed until it feels even more intense. And give a sound to it too. Maybe it's a vibration, a resonance, or something else, but just imagine that shape in that color glowing, vibrating, moving in that way. Give it that sound and just get a sense that this is you connecting with that resourceful feeling. And just notice how you breathe when you feel this way. You don't have to force a breath. You don't have to think about breathing. And you don't have to find a satisfactory breath. You at your most resourceful don't think about breathing. And just notice that. Hold on to that resourceful feeling. Leave the screen. Imagine yourself back there in that lounge, that area where you felt calm and relaxed. And then we're going to imagine 3 memories. And we're going to go in reverse order. The most recent going back to the earliest. So on a screen, I want you to imagine seeing yourself. See yourself like you're an actor in a movie on that big screen. And I want you to see what actually happened if you were an observer. I want you to see that version of you that just for a moment felt overwhelmed. Just observe that version of you. And notice how different that version of you is from the resourceful version of you. Don't change it, just observe it. See it as it was, as if you were the observer. And I want you to get to the end of that memory, perhaps when you had to stop. It got too much. But I want you to imagine seeing the whole thing happening backwards, like you have a rewind button. Just imagine rewinding that memory to before it starts, before there was any anxiety. But instead of playing it forward again, I want you to imagine placing that resourceful version of you, the one that was highly capable, the one with that glowing, colourful shape there in the solar plexus. You rewind it, and then when you start again, I want you to imagine seeing that resourceful version of you in that new location and new terrain, and observe yourself as how you would have been if you were highly resourceful in that exact same situation that you felt overwhelmed. And if you could imagine seeing that version of you handling that situation the way you would want to handle that situation, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. Watch it one more time, then jump back to the beginning, but this time float back into the screen, back into that race car there in Brands Hatch. But now feel that resourceful feeling there in your solar plexus. Imagine the shape, the color, the brightness, the sound. And imagine the same thing happening, but this time you feel resourceful, capable. Your inner dialogue is something along the lines of, "I've got this. Watch me." And if you can imagine from a first-person perspective updating that memory to what it would have been like if you were highly resourceful in the same situation, let me know by nodding your head. And then float back into the lounge. And then imagine rewinding to an earlier memory, this time of a flight. See yourself in a private jet. And you get a sense of what time the year is, based on the clothes people are wearing, perhaps the weather. See yourself boarding that particular plane. And just imagine there's a documentary film crew filming what happened, and you're seeing it on your screen, in your home, as if someone was filming it. And I want you to see it the way that someone else would have seen you. Maybe they would have seen you looking agitated, bothered by noise, playing with the vent of an air conditioning ventilation unit. I want you to see it not worse, not better, but just as it was. See yourself getting overwhelmed, looking at a screen, seeing the amount of time left on the flight. Remember, you're not in your body, you're just observing that version of you looking up at the screen. And then see yourself perhaps just 1 minute later, looking distraught, overwhelmed, frustrated, bothered, and then see a conversation that you have with a pilot, and then see how there's a change of plans. And I want you to see how immediately, how quickly, after the change of plans, you observe that version of you already feeling better. Purely because, in that moment, something unmanageable became manageable, and something that seemed like it was going on forever immediately became temporary. There was a finishing line. And I want you to extract the wisdom from that when an evaluation is made that something is manageable and temporary, your nervous system calms down. And if your unconscious can accept that new belief to be true, let me know by nodding your head. And it's not whether it is true, it's whether your nervous system accepts it to be true. But when it accepts that it's manageable, it becomes more manageable. And when it accepts that you can see the end of an unpleasant feeling, the end of that unpleasant feeling comes quicker. So imagine planting a seed of an idea that when things are temporary and manageable, they become more temporary and they become more manageable. And then remember that version of you, highly resourceful, highly capable. Just imagine rewinding this whole memory of landing in a new city. Rewind everything, see the plane going backwards up into the sky. Everything happening in rewind until before the plane even takes off. Only this time, I want you to see that highly resourceful version of you boarding the plane. And maybe the clue is a posture, a facial expression, a mannerism, the way you're walking. But if you can imagine that highly resourceful version of you boarding the plane, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And just see how this plane ride is different. The resourceful version of you perceives that the whole flight is manageable, and that even if there is noise and loudness and an ambience that isn't quite to your liking, the resourceful version of you has the assessment that I can even handle this. I want you to see that version of you, seeing how much time is left on the flight, and just get a sense from their facial expression that they make the evaluation that they can handle that, and so they do. No need to speak to a pilot, because you're seeing a version of you where the resources exceed the demands, even if the circumstances aren't perfect. And if you could imagine the plane landing in Milan rather than Zurich, just let me know by nodding your head. And then rewind it. But this time take a first-person perspective. It's you as the resourceful version, boarding that plane, sitting in that seat, eating the food, drinking the drink, seeing the screens, feeling the cool breeze of the air conditioning on your skin. And you're in a dialogue, is making evaluations that you can handle this. I've got this. Not a problem. And if you can imagine that whole flight, that even if things aren't to your liking, you can manage them because the flight is manageable, let me know by nodding your head. Just feel that resourceful feeling there in the solar plexus. And if any anxiety comes, switch to a third-person perspective, rewind it, and only when you see yourself capable, confident, resourceful, then you step back into the memory, and then you take the first-person perspective again. And when you finally land, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. You leave the screen and we're going to see one final memory. But this memory, I want you to imagine seeing on the screen. On the screen is a screen. Just imagine if that large screen in your home is showing the screen of a cinema. I want you to imagine the screen shows the cinema, and therefore, on the cinema screen that is being shown on that large TV screen is a memory. And I want you to imagine observing it as it was, as if there was a hidden camera filming everything. You're not in your body, you're just observing it. Something that shouldn't have happened and it happened. An invasion of privacy, of respect, of boundaries. And just observe it as it was. Not better, not worse. Like a factual reconstruction. But you are the observer of a memory on a screen within a screen. Nothing's real, just an interpretation of it. That's it. And I want you to see that you did not invite this situation. You couldn't have prepared for certain things that happened. And I want you to get a sense as you observe that version of you that you handled that situation with the knowledge you had at the time and the resources you had access to. And all I want you to do is to shrink it on the screen, make it black and white and smaller. Retain the memory, you're just an observer of a small black and white memory that seems far away. And I want you to imagine rewinding this memory. But this time, I want you to imagine going into the screen and speaking to that version of you 1 hour before the incident happened. You tell them that they can't change what happens, but you want to let them know what does happen so that they are forewarned, mentally prepared. And tell them that this can be a simple blip, a bump in a road, or it could have the potential to derail. And I want you to tell that version of you what you would have found useful to know before it happened. And once you've done that, let me know by nodding your head. And then just jump back into the lounge, see the screen, and then play it forward. But I want you to see yourself mentally detached, almost unbothered, unfazed. A horrible thing is happening, and yet that version of you seems mentally detached and disassociated from what is happening. And if you could imagine that memory, where you see yourself managing the situation, see your body language such that whatever unresourceful or distressing emotions were there, they seem to be replaced with something that is like a robot, cool, calm, detached. And then imagine rewinding it again and seeing that resourceful version of you there, and seeing the resourceful version of you making different evaluations. You can't change the past, but you can learn from it. So one final memory to update. That if you could go back in time, know exactly what did happen, and do something to change it. Maybe it's a locked door, additional security, something else. Just imagine doing that, making those changes. And if making those changes would have changed what happened, let me know by nodding your head. You can't change the past, but the reason why the human brain replays situations is to have a sense of confidence that you can change the future. I want you to get a sense that you are now shrinking that whole memory down. But on that large screen in that lounge, I want you to see one final thing. And that is you a year from now. I want you to imagine seeing yourself back with that confidence, that resourcefulness, the ability to manage things. And I want you to see yourself on that screen doing things that recently you've been avoiding, but a year from now you're doing them again. And if you could imagine seeing a capable, confident, resourceful version of you in your future that has turned the tide, is doing those things as evidence that instead of life getting smaller, it expands. Let me know by nodding your head. That's it. Just imagine it 2 years in the future, maybe 5, but just imagine seeing a confident, resourceful version of you. And as you hold that thought, imagine that is planting a seed of an idea to let your unconscious mind know where you're heading. And then imagine floating back from that lounge all the way back to the present. But take that resourceful feeling there in your solar plexus with you, and take that idea that when things feel temporary or manageable, and they are more temporary and more manageable. Very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, and you will awaken feeling with a sense of optimism, hope, and a sense of possibility, that neural pathways can be enhanced, restored, and reactivated. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now, as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9:10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.